going on, YouTube gamers? Bonfire here, bringing you another Insights commentary. And today I'm bringing you some more of that Battlefield 4 on the PlayStation 4, where I'm playing Domination on the map Gulmud Railway. In this gameplay I go 22-3, and I pick up the 50 cal sniper rifle chilling on the map, and I end up hopping on one of the roofs and just start picking people off, and it was so much fun. And I'm really happy with the way this gameplay turned out, so I hope you guys enjoy it. And today I wanted to talk about some of my thoughts on Irrational Games closing its doors and the effects that AAA games are having on the gaming industry. I've been thinking about this for a little bit in response to this announcement. Now, before I dive into that, first I want to say that AAA games are awesome. They are a necessary part of the industry, and they do a lot of great things for the publishers, for the developers, and for everyone involved. And that being said, if you guys haven't heard, Irrational Games are closing their doors. Ken Levine has announced this. I think he announced it about a week and a half ago, that they're going to be closing their doors once they finish up the last DLC for BioShock Infinite. And anytime people are losing their jobs and you hear about an awesome studio closing their doors, it's unfortunate, it's sad. And I truly hope that all the people that are going to lose their jobs find work very soon, and that we get to experience some of their awesome work in the future. And not only is it sad to see people lose their jobs, but it's sad to see such a successful studio that's brought us great games like System Shock 2, one of my all-time favorites, BioShock, and the most recent hit, BioShock Infinite, close their doors and become no more. Now, Ken Levine, the man behind BioShock, the reason why he said Irrational Games is closing for his own personal reasons is he gave a couple reasons, and one of them was to pursue more creative games, to be able to express his own creativity, not be limited by, AAA titles. He also wants to work with a smaller team. I know he's going to be taking some of the Irrational Games employees, kind of creating his own small team, his own kind of independent studio, and doing work, so he won't have to worry about as many people working on the project, therefore giving him more creative control. And lastly, he's going to go digital only. He's going to work on digital only games. And this isn't the first time we've seen a big developer do this. Another big one, Cliff Bleszinski, who was the man who brought us Gears of War, also did something similar, and he's currently working on a digital-only game that he'll be releasing. I believe it's on the PC only for right now. But I think this is a trend we're going to be seeing more and more often, and part of that's due to the big budgets and the rising cost of AAA game development. And I did a little bit of research, and in 2013 to the beginning of 2014, based on some of the games that I was able to find some of the budgets for, the average cost to make a AAA title nowadays was about $73 million. And that's a lot of money. You compare that to back in 2006, when the first Gears of War, that cost $10 million. And then in early 2007, BioShock, speaking of Irrational Games, that cost $15 million. So, given inflation, of course, but that cost is constantly going up, and it's only going to get more expensive. Think about Call of Duty. That's probably even more expensive than that average. With that said, here are some of the effects that I think AAA games are having on the gaming industry. That's going to kind of tie into part of the reasons why I think Ken Levine left Irrational Games, or is closing the doors. First off, the AAA games, and this doesn't apply to all of them, but AAA games, they hinder creativity and the attempts at new concepts within games. Now, what I mean by this, and the reasoning behind this, is that AAA games, they take about 4 to 5 years to make, on average, and there's a lot of money, as I stated before, lots of millions of dollars being invested in these games, and there's a lot of people that have their hands in that investment. I mean, I'm sure you have independent investors, mostly publishers, putting in money, and that money's sitting in there for that development cycle for years, and those people aren't seeing a return on their investment. And because it's being so long and they've invested so much money, they want to minimize the risk of losing that money to make sure they can get their money back plus a profit. And so they have slight creative control over that game. So they take out some things that they don't think are going to work. They put things that they know work, and I think this is one of the reasons why we see a lot of, you know, cookie cutter games, cookie cutter gameplay. And we use that term a lot in AAA games, and I think this is why. I mean, we talk about cookie cutter gameplays, cookie cutter themes, cookie cutter games, and I think this is one of the reasons why, because so many people have their money in hands invested in these AAA titles, they want to minimize all risk. And I completely get that from an investment standpoint. Completely understand. But for us as gamers, we're not getting some of the best and most creative ideas that we could be getting. And these creative people like Ken Levine aren't being able to fully express their creativity and do things that they really want to do. Next is, I think AAA games, and again, this isn't applicable to all, but I do think AAA games are set up for failure, some of them, and they set games up for failure. And what I mean by failure, and I put those in quotes, is that because you have so much money in these games, because there is such a long development cycles, and people want to minimize risk, all that money is being sat there. They're waiting for the release date so they can, you know, get the return on investment. And over this time, expectations are rising. And by the time the game's released, expectations are so high, and a lot of times those games don't meet those expectations. And I think a perfect example of this is the new Tomb Raider that came out. This game was an amazing game. I enjoyed it a lot. It reviewed well, and I think it sold upwards of almost 4 million copies. Yet it didn't meet Square Enix's sales goals and is considered a quote-unquote failure. And that's really unfortunate, because it's a really great game, and because it's considered a failure, we might not see a sequel. I think we will see a sequel, but there's a lot of games like that where it does well, yet not up to the expectations, therefore we might not see more of it. And for good games like that, that's an unfortunate thing, and that it sucks for everyone involved. Now lastly, one of the effects I think that AAA games have had on the gaming industry, and this is what I think one of the biggest things, is that I think and over time this has happened, it's affected gamers' perceptions on what a game should be. And I look at a lot of video game websites, and one of the things I always do when I read an article is I look at the comments section, because sometimes there's some funny things that people say, but lately, and a lot of times, you'll see a lot of console war fanboy stuff going on. But when you read an article about some of the, like an independent game or kind of a smaller downloadable title, you get a lot of people on there that immediately dismiss the game because it's not a big budget AAA title. And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for that gamer, because they very well could be missing out on a fantastic game. Like, a great example, this would be Journey for the PlayStation 3 that's won multiple Game of the Year awards. But it's also bad for that developer, because they missed out on a sale based on that perception that it's a bad game because it's not a AAA title. And I feel like there's this perception out there that games need to be the games need to have the best graphics. They need to be big games that you can spend a lot of time in. That all games need to have single player, co-op, and multiplayer, even if 2 out of 3 of those are absolutely terrible. And that people want something familiar, yet something completely innovative and brand new, which is a little bit contradictory. And that perception it's not right, because that's not a realistic perception. Not all games need to have multiplayer. Tomb Raider is a game that should not have multiplayer. No one plays it. It's not that good. Those resources that were put in that multiplayer could have been put into the single player to make it that much more effective and better. And I think most of my frustration and observation from this is when you see comments and you talk to console fanboys. So you've got the Xbox One fanboys who look at the PlayStation 4 and say, oh, those guys just have a bunch of crappy, indie titles in their PlayStation 4. They don't have any real games over there. Well, you're wrong. They do. Look at a game like Resogun. That game is absolutely amazing. It is addictive, it's fun, and it scored one of the best scores out of all the launch lineup titles for both consoles. And then you have Sony fanboys who look at the Xbox One and say, oh, you guys only have, a couple shooters, or you only have Titanfall. well, that's all you guys have, and that's wrong as well, because there's a lot of smaller games like Peggle 2, Plants vs. Zombies that just came out. And one of the great things that I applaud Microsoft for recently that they've done is they've signed, I think it was 65 independent developers to create games for the Xbox One. And like I said, I applaud Microsoft for doing that. I really do think the Xbox One needs more indie titles. Games like Castle Crashes that were on the Xbox 360, I would love to see a sequel to that. And I just get frustrated with this because both sides are wrong, and I feel like part of that is because of the perception of what a game should be. Overall, AAA games are a necessary part of the industry, and as going forward, as we see more time between AAA games, I think that's a good thing, because I think it'll give those independent titles and smaller games more area to surface, and hopefully more people will embrace that. And hopefully some of these negative effects can go away, because there will be more room for those smaller titles. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below about this topic. I know I've rambled on for quite some time, but I appreciate you hanging on, listening to my thoughts. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know with a like, and if you're new, be sure to subscribe for more great commentaries and great gameplays coming your way. Until next time, I'm Bonfire, and I will see you online. Hey guys, don't forget Facebook and Twitter. Hit that button down below.